It's never too early to start thinking about nationals. Most of the time, the really serious teams start planning for the following year before they've even checked out of their hotel rooms after getting done this year. And whether you've been going for 20 years or this is your first year, I've got some tips that might help you out, or at least just enjoy it. I mean, the Open Championships is always the best bowling experience that I'll have every year. So even if I completely suck, it's just, in my opinion, the best experience that you can have in bowling outside of being a professional or something. So this year it's in Syracuse. I've only been to New York once. My sister-in-law is actually from Eastern New York, but this will be fun. My bread and butter is Reno, though. It's funny to me how people say they hate going to Reno because there's nothing to do there, but my whole trip is the tournament, so I spend as much time as I can in the center, especially when you're at the National Bowling Stadium. It just doesn't get any better than that. I'm not as big a fan of the convention centers, but it's nice going to other places occasionally. El Paso a couple years ago was actually really nice, a lot of fun there. To be fair, though, this is the first time the tournament has been on the east side of the country for a really long time, so I'm glad that all of you Easterners are appreciating it. But anyway, down to brass tacks. The first things first, are you going to compete or participate? Either answer is fine. Most important thing is just enjoying the trip, soaking it all in. Bowling well for me is always the goal, but it's kind of a bonus at the same time because it's such a big stage that it can kind of take you out of your game a little bit, take a while to kind of settle in or settle down. The biggest question for everyone is always equipment. What do I take, especially because they're not releasing the patterns now. They're a secret, and one of the first beer frames I did was about this. So the way to look at this for me is that this is the biggest participation tournament in the world. Their main goal or first objective is to create a lane pattern that is playable for as many bowler styles as possible. So that means that they're making it difficult is a secondary objective, but you're never going to see a 48-foot high-volume pattern or a 35-foot low-volume pattern. They don't want to shut anybody out or make them feel like they're just blocked out or they don't have a chance because of their style or because of how they throw the ball. If you throw the ball well, you should be able to score at nationals. That's the intent. Now, for me, the ball selection is always the same. The approach is always the same. I don't see that changing. The conditions for the last several years have been extremely similar. I think they've kind of found a scoring pace that they like and are kind of going to sit on it. Now, just a few years ago, before they started keeping the patterns a secret, we had live streams of some of the kind of the bigger or better teams. And most of the time, these guys would provide the rest of us with kind of the blueprint for success. It's about working as a team. It's about breaking the shot down into something scoreable and then taking advantage of it. The best thing that you can do is go back on USBC's YouTube channel and listen to Matt Cannizzaro bring you the action from all those live streams and pay attention. The second best thing you can do is get to the tournament a day or two early. Spend as much time as you can watching what's actually going on in the center. It may not be a bad idea to do the practice session or maybe bowl the bowler's journal or even just the 40 frame game, which is pretty fun as well. That's kind of interesting if you haven't done that before. But really just to get warmed up, because for most people when they get into practice at the beginning of team, it will have been several days since they've bowled previously, travel and getting there and seeing things and vacation stuff and whatnot. So throwing the ball just to get loose and perhaps most importantly make sure everything feels good before you get to team, because nothing is, if you come from a different climate, nothing's worse than starting practice for team and realizing that your thumb hole is a couple sizes too big or too small. Now, right now, as far as equipment goes, my way too early equipment list is the Drive, No Rules Pearl, Daredevil Trick, Sonic, 4-inch Hustle Ink, and the Hectic. Balls I'd really like to take would be the Marvel Pearl, the IQ Tour Solid, the All Out Show Off, and the Codex and Idol might even work their way in there somewhere. We'll have to figure that out, and I'm sure that there's more that are going to come out by then, but because we're not going until the first week in July, so we'll see what comes up before then. But so maybe one of the new balls kind of supplants something else. Maybe it's Codex or Icon instead of Drive. I really can't see that happening because I think the Drive definitely has to go, but so does the Daredevil Trick, and we'll see what happens though. I'm sure that there's going to be plenty more releases between now and then to mix things up, but for now, the kind of initial plan is that the Drive is going at 1,000 grit. It's going to be my practice and most of the first game ball while we're breaking the shot down. It's smooth traction, so I think it's something I'll actually be able to score with while we're breaking the shot down. The next ball down from that will be the Daredevil Trick at 2000. Once we've done some work on the track and need to move to fresh head oil, we'll still be playing straighter, and the track still likely won't be quite developed enough yet, so we're still going to have to do some work on it. But we'll have to move into fresh heads, so back off on the surface a little so it doesn't chew up the head so fast, but keeps working on the track. The Trick likes a little bit of angle, but should still keep it nice and easy into the pocket while the back ends are settling down a little bit also. The volume won't be heavy, but most likely heavier than you see at League, which makes the ball get down the lane easier, but also makes it sharper on the back end because it's conserving a bunch of energy. As you bowl, the track will burn, but the back ends will also calm down and kind of mellow out a little bit. So the two things that are important early are traction and smooth. Now, once you get in the second game and have that track where you want it, then it's time for shiny and moving left. You want to transition them early, and then obviously when you get them where you want them, you want to do everything that you can to keep them that way. No Rules Pearl goes to a shiny cover with a similar shape. At this point, we're probably still playing just a little bit of a swing, but not deep enough yet that we really need wheels on the back end. We need to hit the friction, then hit the shim, meaning get it to hook, and then just kind of sit there. So we don't want too much on the back end yet. So No Rules Pearl isn't going to do any more damage to the lanes, but it will be a decent amount of hook, and it'll also be really smooth. So depending on the look, maybe the Sonic goes in that spot. Moving from surface to shiny is where I like to have that extra option just in case symmetric is a better look than the ASIM of the No Rules Pearl. The ASIM might be just a little bit too much. Really depends on the look at and through the pins. Game 3, we're probably going to be looking at the Hustle Ink, and then if they get really dry, the Hectic. The Hectic I can really get deep with and hammer on it because it's so smooth and continuous. The Hustle Ink is a ball that I can get deep and shim it with, but if it's a little flat through the pocket, the Hectic is kind of the tour de force. And honestly, the quicker I can get to the Hectic, the better. It's quickly making its way into my top 10 balls of all time, period. It's the absolute pinnacle of go-to balls like ever. So now, will it go exactly like this? Probably not. As much as you need a game plan, you also need to be flexible. And you need to adjust quickly on the fly. So if something isn't working, don't force it. The first game is kind of a different story, but the last two games you need to do whatever you have to do to score. So if something isn't working, talk to your teammates. Make sure what you're doing isn't going to screw them or screw the shot up. But if you go 3 frames in a row and something isn't working, don't wait 3 more. Make the adjustment. You just don't have the time the last 2 games, so you have to be very patient through practice in the first game and not jump the gun before you've kind of got your shot grooved in. And then you have to go really aggressive within reason the last couple games. Be smart. Don't be aggressive just to be a hipster, because there's sometimes that people do really what they think are fun, bold, or creative things that it's like, oh wow, you can do that, but it's a mess up on the scoreboard. This is why I'm also only taking 6 balls, all with specific purposes. You don't want to take a million options to a tournament like this and have any doubt or indecision. Make your choices easy. Take equipment that you're extremely confident and familiar with. Some people will take all the options they feel like they could need, but that's not really my style. I can make a physical adjustment with something dial in, but I don't want to have to decide between 3 balls that might work. I want one clear decision that I can go with. In singles and doubles, the strategy is somewhat similar, the difference being that you have less time in practice, you have fewer bowlers on the pair, and 6 games now instead of 3, plus a slightly different shot. For me, doubles is about just making shots. That's really what it boils down to. The whole tournament is really that way, but doubles is where it's needed most because of the factors that I mentioned. Not as much practice, lanes won't break down as fast. You just have to make shots and set yourself up for singles. Wouldn't necessarily sacrifice doubles because you're still looking at that all events number 2, but if you chase too much in doubles, you could end up with a chewed up shot and a really miserable last 3 games in singles. I'm really looking forward to this year. In all but maybe 1 or 2 previous years, I've had some kind of injury or something off with my mechanics, or been really busy. And this year, at least for now, I'm looking pretty good. We don't go till the first weekend of July, like I said, so still a few months off, and all this league season's kind of been up and down. It's been more up than down, and I feel like everything's kind of slowly trending upwards right now. So I'm getting some things figured out and nailed down and making some real progress. So I'm just really very much looking forward to it. That's all I got for now. I know it was kind of long and heavy, but go watch some of the old live streams, get the feels going, get excited. I know I am. Tournament starts sooner than you realize. So thanks for watching.